Hey ladies, thanks for joining me today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Mitzi and I'm a paper girlie. And if you're a returner, well, welcome back. Okay girls, so today we are talking about Dead Poet Society. We're going to do a quote, we're going to do some journal prompts, and then we're going to do a craft. Okay, so this is a classic movie. This is a classic movie because of the theme of the movie. Because the theme of this movie is, well, we all know seize the day. We all know that phrase. We know that phrase because that is what this movie is all about. It is about finding our authentic voice, seizing the day, and having the opportunity to challenge our perspective. So girls, let's just get right to the quote. So this first quote is by John Keating, played by, the late Robin Williams. And oh my goodness, I just have to say that, yeah, did I watch Mork and Mindy? Yeah, I did. Do I think that Robin Williams was a great comedic actor? Yes, I do. However, for me, I actually prefer him in his more serious roles. So this movie was right up my alley. And I think that, did he win an award for this? No, that was Good Will Hunting. But he should have won an award for this. And if he did, and I'm just, blanking on it, let me know down in the comments. Okay, so this first quote by John Keating, played by Robin Williams, is simply this. No matter what anyone tells you, words and ideas can change the world. And oh my gosh, you know me, you know me, so you know how much that means to me. Because yeah, here I'm on here talking about journaling, talking about how it can just change your perspective, it can help you reflect, it can really, give you guidance in moving forward in your life. Gosh, the idea that words can change the world, and even if that world is just the world that you yourself are living in, oh my goodness, I just think that is a great, great quote. So girls, let's get to these journal prompts. So ladies, today our journal prompts are focused around the ideas of breaking out of the daily, mundane, everyday routines, exploring our authentic voice, and then challenging our perspective as we, transition through life into this new phase of our life and how we can seize the day with our words and our ideas in the future. So the first two, they are under the heading of, well, you guessed it, Carpe Diem, seize the day. And the first one is called Create the Extraordinary. And the question here for you gals is, what is one routine that you treat as ordinary that you could transform into something extraordinary? So that is the first journal prompt. And then the second one is called Conquer the Fear. And the question here for you is, what is the biggest thing holding you back from seizing the day right now? Is it a fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown? So those are the first two journal prompts. And then the second one is finding your voice. And the first one here is write your barbaric yelp. Remember that scene in the movie when they're in the classroom and everybody has had that writing assignment, and little old Ethan Hawke, he didn't write one. He didn't write one, so Robin Williams told him, well, come up here and I'm just going to guide you through this. I'm going to guide you through this writing assignment because, he was shy. He was shy and he didn't want to do the public speaking part of that. And I get that. I come on here and I yippity yap at you all day long. However, I get it. There are some people that are just not public speakers. But gals, that's something that I would challenge you to get over. I would challenge you to get over because the idea, the concept of being able to stand in front of people, and whether that is one person or whether that is a group of people, to have that type of confidence to be able to come out here and do that, it is empowering. It is empowering. And that's really what Mr. Keating was trying to do with Todd. He was trying to get him to, overcome his inhibitions. So the question for this is, if you let out your true, unedited inner voice, what would it sound like? So that is the first one. And then the second one, well, gals, the second one can be either fun and easy, or it can be hard and, maybe a little bit scary. But this is what I'm asking of you to do. This is called Create Something Unpolished. And the focus here is to just write. Just write a short, messy poem or a stream of consciousness, something in your notebook that is just words without really thinking about it. Because girls, I want to say this is when journaling really gets to be journaling. When you really dig down deep and just write. Just write about whatever you're feeling in the moment. And sometimes, if I'm having one of those days, and we have them, one of those days where maybe you're feeling a little bit blue and you don't know why, sometimes if I just sit down and start writing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about something specific. If I just start writing saying, hey, you know what, today I'm feeling blah, 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 then all of a sudden the words start coming. The words start coming, and in this instance, I'm going to say, you know what, put a timer for yourself. Put a timer for yourself down there and just say, you know what, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start with, I am feeling, and then just start writing. Start writing, and you won't believe, you will believe it, but you might be surprised. You might be surprised that when you are done, when that alarm goes off, or when you're done just writing, because girls, sometimes, I will put an alarm for myself on, and then it will go off, and then I realize that, you know what, I'm not done. I am not done writing what I need to write about, and then I'll just continue on. But I think you might just be surprised at what comes out. What comes out if you just say, I'm going to consciously sit down and write, I am feeling, and then just go from there. Because a lot of times when we get stuck in our feelings, all we need to do is write it down in order for us to then be able to just, move on from it. Sometimes we just need to feel like, somebody hears us. And sometimes the person that needs to hear us is actually ourselves. Okay, so that is the second journal prompt under Finding Your Voice. And then the next category is called Challenging Perspectives. And the first journal prompt here is called Standing on the Desk. The desk exercise is all about changing your point of view. Remember when he stood on the desk and told everybody else to stand on the desk, and they were like, I don't know if I'm supposed to stand on the desk. But then, as per usual, one person decided to do it, and then suddenly everybody else decided, well, if he can do it, I can do it. So this one is called Standing on the Desk, and the question is, what is a belief or opinion you have held for a long time that you can look at from a completely different angle? So that is the first journal prompt under Challenging Perspectives. And then the second journal prompt under this category is called The Four Pillars. Now, this whole story, it happened at Welton Academy. And Welton Academy, it was a made-up school. However, it was fashioned after a preparatory school, a live-in preparatory school of very affluent people. And so this school was built on certain pillars. They call it the four pillars, and they talk about it in the very first scene in the church when they're having the kind of welcome to the school year scene. So the pillars that it is built on is tradition, honor, discipline, and excellence. So the question for you today, ladies, is what are the four pillars of your life, and do they serve you well? So for me, it's quite easy. My four pillars, I thought about it. Yes, I did think about it, but they are loyalty, honesty, compassion, and joy. And I'll talk about those later. And then the last journal prompt falls under the category called conformity versus individuality. And this is called the path of least resistance. And the question here, ladies, is reflect on a time recently when you made a choice to conform and blend in rather than stand out. Why did you make that choice, and how did you feel afterwards? So gals, there are the journal prompts, and that's the first quote. And if that's all you wanted, then, go out, have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow. But for the rest of you gals, guess what? I have a craft today. Because, oh my goodness, I was, putting down my notes for this video, and it just jumped out at me. And so that's what I was talking about the other day when I didn't have a craft, when I was saying, one, I'm a slow crafter, and two, sometimes it just takes me a while to even come up with an idea, and I don't have time for that. And yeah, girls, I was joking around when I said, oh, I feel like a failure, call me a failure. I guess I didn't smile enough when I said it because, God bless you gals. You came on here and you said, oh, Mitzi, you don't call yourself a failure. And I promise you gals, I was not calling myself a failure. Not really. I was just trying to make a point that in some people's eyes, because, I came on here and I said, ooh, every day we're going to have these journal prompts and then a craft, and I wasn't doing it, that, I was a failure. No, I'm just a girl that doesn't, time management is an issue for me sometimes. So, yeah, so today I have a craft and I think it's a good one. I think it's a good one because it's simple. I think it's a good one because, oh my goodness, it really goes well with these journal prompts with this movie. And I think it's a really good one because it correlates right back to that first quote, the idea that words and ideas can change the world. So girls, I'm going to go get my stuff and then I will meet you back here at my desk. Okay, be right back. Okay, ladies, so today I'm using tracing paper. I'm using tracing paper because I'm also going to use my modern calligraphy book. I'm going to use this to help guide me to write some letters. So obviously, if you don't have tracing paper, just grab yourself a piece of paper and make your own letters. So what we're going to make today, what I'm going to challenge you to make today, is a scroll. Like at the beginning of the movie when they are walking in with the pillars of the school, I would like you to make a scroll with the pillars that you base your life on. So you just need a ruler and a pencil to get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make out some lines. I'm going to make out some lines because for me, I need these lines in order to trace my letters. And girls, I do know my words. So that's why I'm kind of staggering them like this, because I know how much room I need for my words. So the basis of this craft project today is really quite simple. It's literally just taking a piece of paper and writing down some words. The time consuming part of this is figuring out what those words are, because that's the challenge here. The challenge is to write out the words that you base your life on. So I'm just going to grab my book and I'm going to find the letters that I need for my words. I'm going to copy them, trace them with my pencil, and then I'm going to cover them with ink. So first off, the first letter that I need is an L. I need an L, and I need to just figure out what L I want to use. I'm speeding this up for time's sake because, girls, I'm just going to be tracing them. I'm just going to be tracing them to look fancy schmancy. So I'm going to do this off screen and I'll be back. So these are my words. The joy, it got a little wonky there, but we're just going to deal with that. So what we're going to do is we're just erasing the lines. I'm simply erasing the lines that I used to write my words. And then what we're going to do is we are going to age this paper. We're going to age this paper to make it into a scroll. So for me, I'm going to use ink. I'm going to use some Distress Oxide ink. A Vintage Photo is the color. And we're just going to grab a little inker, ink sponge, I guess you want to call it. And we're just going to, throw ink down here. We're just going to layer on ink all over this page until we have it looking the way that the color, I was going to say the way that we want it, but yeah, the color that we want it. So when you think of an old scroll, oftentimes this, at least for me, this is the color that I am thinking. And so that is why I chose this. Now, if you don't have ink, then, you can, you can do this on a piece of craft paper. If you happen to have a piece of the brown, butcher craft paper, you can use a different colored ink. You could use colored pencils. Like I always say, girls, use what you got. This is, yes. Did I think this out previous? Ooh, I need to erase that. Yeah, I did. I always do. So I thought, what do I have that then I could use to make this scroll? So girls, just, look around, see what you got, and then from whatever you have, choose what is going to work for you. So girls, this is the start. This is the start of my scroll, just adding on layers of color. And it does not have to cover this entire piece because, girls, we're going to rip this paper. We're going to rip this paper to make it look vintagey, old-fashioned, whatever, word you want to use for that. We are trying to make this like it has been around for a long time. Because even though, I just thought up these words, as an exercise for myself. These are words that I have been abiding by for a long, long time. So this is an example of kind of what I am basing my scroll on today. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to rip this. I'm just going to rip this, and it doesn't have to be, a certain way. Again, this does not have to be perfect. And we all know that that is, my MO. I love a craft that does not have to be done perfectly, because then, if I mess up a little bit, then guess what, girls? Nobody knows but me. Nobody knows but me if I mess up my craft. And again, this is going to go inside my journal. So it is just for me. It is just for me. So I'm just ripping it around to make kind of the shape that I think that I want. So I think that's the shape that I want. No, I want to keep that there. I just have to, I'm going to throw a little bit more ink on this. So I'm going to ink up the page here, and I better get something to ink down onto, because ink can be messy. Ink can be messy, but oh my gosh, ink can be so much fun. And so now what I'm doing is I'm going around the edges. I'm going around the edges just to darken them up with this ink. See how that's kind of looking old-fashioned-y, I guess I'm calling it. And I know that's an old-fashioned-y word, but gosh, I'm an old-fashioned gal. I'm an old-fashioned gal when it comes to my words sometimes. So we're just inking the edges. And again, girls, do I have the fancy schmancy Ranger ink? Yeah, of course I do. But you can go to the Dollar Tree. You can go to the Dollar Tree and get ink and still get this look. It's all about just using what you have, grabbing inexpensive craft supplies, and then it's how you use them. It's not really, what they cost. It's how you use them. So now I'm going to grab some black ink. I'm going to grab some black ink because I think that I want the edges even darker. And these, girls, these are actually makeup applicators. They're makeup applicators that I use for inking things when I want to be able to have a little bit more control of where how I put my ink down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just ink this up. I'm just going to ink this up with my little sponge. So I had to grab another piece of paper so I don't get my desk all messy, and we're just going to ink up the edges. And goodness, well, let's see if this works. I'm not sure if this is the effect that I wanted now that I'm looking at it, but guess what? We're just going to make it work. We are going to make it work. Since we started, well, we have to make it work. And sometimes with crafting, girls, that's, it can be fun, but can also be a time where we learn that, guess what? When things don't go as planned, as expected, then what we have to do is we have to pivot. And girls, as women, we are great at that. We are great at that, and I'm trying to get better at that when it comes to crafting. Because we all know that this girl has an issue with wanting things to look a certain way, and when it doesn't, oh gosh, sometimes I could be hard on myself, and I'm trying to get better at that. So oftentimes when I'm crafting, I am learning multiple lessons while I am crafting. So we're just going to throw down a little bit of ink right here on the edges and just kind of work it around the best that we can. We'll work it around. So there we go. I think that works for me. Okay, so there we go. We have the black ink down. Oh, can I get this in there a little bit better? Okay. So we have our black ink down, and then next up, I'm just going to use my pencil. I'm going to use my pencil because this is a scroll. You could use a Tombow pen as well, but I'm going to use a pencil. You want something that just is, wide enough to get your entire piece of paper rolled around it. So I'm going to roll it up because a scroll gets rolled up on something. So I do want this to have a little bit of definition, a little bit of texture. I'm just going to kind of squeeze, roll this on there, and then hopefully get the effect that I'm looking for. So there we go. Okay, so let's see. Okay, oh goodness. So that might be a little bit too scrolly. Let's see, what am I going to do? So yeah, let's turn this over and then just roll it the other way. We'll roll it the other way. Again, I'm just going to kind of, roll it and scrunch it at the same time because we're trying to get an old-fashioned look. So there we go. That's the look that I'm looking for. That's the look. So those are my words with my scroll. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some things out of my little Desk Cosmos bag. I love these bags for holding onto things. I'm going to grab ink splotches, and then also, let's see, I am looking for something specific. Hold on, I might have to find it in another one of these little holders, because I do have multiples of these little, envelopey things. So I'm going to have to find it and then get back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ink splotches, and I'm going to put those down just so that it looks like, they're splotches of ink, splotches of ink. And then after that, oh, there we go. So I'm going to use my pens, my fountain pens. So I got my splotches, my ink splotches, and my fountain pen. And so because I'm trying to kind of replicate that scroll that I showed you from my little stickers, then I'm going to use these. So I'm going to, do I want more than one? Gosh, that might be overkill. No, I'm just going to use one. So I'm just going to use one of these. I'm going to, lift it up. Oh gosh, I don't know where my pen is. Well, I'm just going to use an X-Acto knife. I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and lift up this sticker and then just place it down. Place it down. Like I said, this is a real simple craft. It's a real basic craft, because the reason why I wanted to do this was for the words, because I want you to think of your 4 pillars and then write them down. So now I'm going to open up these and pick out a pen to then put on the top of this. So let's see, what do I want? Do I want a regular fountain pen, or do I want a feather fountain pen? Let's see, regular one. I think I want a feather one. I think I want a feather one to make it fancy, to make it extra. So let me pick out my pen. And these girls, these are actually stickers. So they do peel off, and because they are sticking down on the paper, but I do want some of the feather to stick out at the top, then I will have to figure out what is going to stick off the top. So I'm going to lay it down and kind of figure out where it's going to be at, where I'm going to need to cut it. And let's see, I think that's good. So then I will just make a little mark here, and then I will just peel up the back. I will peel up the back and then stick it down. So just like that, the back peels up. We're going to stick it down. Let's see, just double check one more time before I cut it off. Let's see, is that it? Yeah, I think that's about right. So I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife. I'm actually just going to rip it down. We're going to rip it off, and then I'm going to stick it on. I'm going to stick it on angled like this, and there we go. So this is my scroll, ladies. So you may be wondering, why did you pick out those 4 words, Mitzi? Well, loyalty brings consistency, honesty gives me intimacy, compassion reminds me to be kind, and joy gives me hope. So gals, I hope that you will take the time to really reflect on what words you can use to base your life around. So girls, let's get back to those journal prompts, and then we'll be on our way. Okay, be right back. Okay, so we're going to go over these prompts one more time. And gals, I realize that you have to pause the video in order to write these prompts down in your notebooks. I get that. But the reason why I go over them a second time in my videos is really just to kind of put an exclamation mark on what the words are, what the prompts are, to just get you thinking for when you are going to write down the prompts. Okay, so the first prompt under Carpe Diem, seizing the day, is create the extraordinary. What is one daily routine you treat as ordinary that you could transform into something extraordinary? And then the second one is conquer the fear. What is the biggest thing holding you back from seizing the day right now? Is it a fear of failure, judgment, or the unknown? So those are the first 2. And then the next 2 are under finding your voice. And the first one is write your barbaric yap. If you let out your true, unedited inner voice, what would it sound like? And then the second question is called Create Something Unpolished. And this is simply to just write a short, messy poem or just a stream of consciousness of words. That's all it is. Just start with, well, I mean, you can start however you want, but if you simply start with that, with the idea of I am feeling, and then go from there, I think that you will have something to write about. Okay, so then the next two, they're under challenging perspectives. And the first one is called Standing on the Desk. What is a belief or opinion you have held for a long time that you can look at from a completely different angle? And then the next one is called the 4 pillars. And I talked about my 4 pillars while I was doing my craft. And this is the question. What are the 4 pillars of your life, and do they serve you well? And then the very last one under the topic of conformity versus individuality, and it's called the path of least resistance. And the prompt here is simply reflect on a time recently when you chose to conform and blend in rather than stand out. Why did you make that choice? And how did you feel afterwards? So ladies, those are the journaling prompts that I have for you today. And ladies, if this is the first time that I am popping on your screen, then I would love if you would like and subscribe and continue on this journaling journey with us here. Because there is a group of us here on my channel, as well as a group of ladies of a certain age who love stationery and paper and journaling and stickers and all that stuff over in a Facebook group. It is called the Paper Girlie Studio. There is a link in the description. You can pop onto it. It will pop you right over. You answer a couple questions and you're in. And over there, that is kind of like, well, that is our Welton, our School of Welton. It is a place that we gather and we commune. We commune as a community of women of a certain age where we can support each other. We can support each other while we transition in this stage of our lives. So girls, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get to this last quote. So this last quote that I picked out is by John Keating. And of course he is saying it to the boys, but I'm going to take some liberty here and just switch it up just a little bit because I think it's an anthem. It is an anthem and it is something that I highly believe in. It is something that I feel very passionately about, and it's something that I want to say to you. So this quote is, Carpe diem, seize the day, ladies, make your lives extraordinary. Okay, girls, that's it for me today. Hopefully I'll see you back here tomorrow. Until next time, from one paper girlie to another,